Hi, I'm Joe Fielder. I'm the site director of Gamespot. I'm here today to talk to you about Halo from Bungie. You might have seen some of the things I've written about Halo in the past. I've written a few columns, one of which I talked about how when I first got the game, I played it for about 10 hours straight. I got the game about 8 o'clock at night, started playing, played till 6 o'clock in the morning, and the next night played from about midnight to 6 in the morning. It's one of those games that compels you to pull all-nighters. It's that good. People who have been looking for the last few years for a game as good as Half-Life or Rare's GoldenEye 007 will be pretty pleased to learn that they don't really need to look anymore. It's here. It's Halo.
Oh no! Oh no!
You play Halo through the eyes of a character called the Master Chief. He's kind of this enigmatic cyborg commando who you never really learn too much about, but whom everyone in the game seems to know of, and they deal with very reverentially. You'll come up to a group of Marines, and they'll start saying things like, hey, it's Mark V. He's taller than I thought, or hey, we were worried until you showed up, sir. You start the game, you're awakened out of cryosleep on a ship that's been boarded by Covenant forces. The Covenant are an alien race that Earth forces have come into conflict with, and your ship has traveled to this artificial ring-shaped planet called Halo, where the Covenant are hunting for this mysterious artifact. Maybe it's a weapon, and probably a weapon, could be a weapon. You don't want it to fall into their hands, and that's why you're there.
What is that thing, Lieutenant?
Hell if I know. We're landing on it.
You're on him! She's been hit!
One of the ways that Halo is different from other first-person shooters is that it only allows you to carry 2 weapons at the same time. That's something that I think that for years, game players have probably thought that sort of realism would detract from a first-person shooter. In the past, you've always been able to carry, a huge rocket launcher, a machine gun, and so on and so forth, and probably 12 weapons. In this, it adds a really nice strategic element. Necessity will eventually teach you that every single weapon in the game has positive and minus traits. The pistol that you start off with is probably the most basic weapon in the game, but it has a scope so that if you're fighting enemies who like to hide behind rocks and shoot at you just out of your range, you're able to focus in and shoot at them with some degree of accuracy. Likewise, there are weapons like the standard rifle that work really well against people who don't have energy shields. But if an enemy does have a force field, you'll really need to have something like a plasma rifle in order for that to be effective. Not surprisingly, the computer AI gives the game a lot of replay value. You could play through the same sections of the game and multiple times and not have the same things happen twice. The combat in Halo really never gets old because the enemy AI is so smart that enemies will react many different ways depending on a situation. If there's a cannon or a vehicle nearby, they might hop into it. If they're running low on shields, they might hide behind a rock or throw a grenade over at you. They might rush you if they're just really close to death and try to bludgeon you to death with the butt of their rifle. And your Marine allies in the game are just as smart. There are even times when you'll find yourself assisting them instead of them assisting you.
Captain Keyes.
Good to see you, Master Chief. Things aren't going well.
Halo's a really stunning looking game. There are a lot of big levels, huge draw distances, and they're just full of eye candy in many cases. If you walk up to a Marine, you'll see that there's his visor on his helmet reflects light, and there's a lot of little neat things like that. One of only a few possible complaints that people could really have about the graphics in Halo is that the frame rate is 30 frames per second. Now, if you are a big fan of GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, you probably won't even notice. You probably won't skip a beat. But if you've been playing Quake 3 Arena nonstop, for the last few years, you'd probably be searching your controller constantly for a run button throughout that. The positive side of 30 frames per second is there could be multiple enemies on screen. There could be explosions. There could be Banshee attack craft flying through, and it'll still be a rock solid 30 frames per second, albeit a little bit slower in multiplayer. As in Rare's Perfect Dark, you can play through the entire game in co-op split screen mode with a buddy. If so one person dies in the game, then they respawn once you kind of back up and get out of combat, or else if you finish the fight. It's a really neat way of playing the game the second or third time you play through it. It's a real fun experience, providing cover for a friend, or having somebody watch your back as well. Halo's other multiplayer modes aren't quite as strong as the single-player mode or the two-player co-op. It's basically because of the omission of computer-controlled foes or allies to kind of round out the experience. You can play the game with 4 people on one screen through split screen, and there are a variety of maps and different modes you can play with, but most of them seem to be tailored towards the other way you can play the multiplayer, which is by hooking up several Xboxes through Link or LAN, and you can have up to 16 people playing at one time. It's really amazing to play the game in that way. Even still, it's hard to say enough good things about Halo. It's one of those games that really manages to transcend its genre. I mean, it's not only a good first-person shooter, it's a good game, period. Fans of shooters like Half-Life, like GoldenEye, even the Marathon series, pretty much any major single-player first-person shooter should really enjoy the game, as should anyone. Besides being easily the best game of the Xbox launch, it's one of the best first-person shooters ever on any platform.